Thank you all for joining the meetup today. And our host and guest speaker for today is Sariam Tanniru from Tamina Solutions in India, and he's going to tell us more about how to integrate Mendix with Dialogflow. So I believe we'll start with an introduction to Dialogflow itself, what it is, how you can get started with it, and then we'll build it out from there into an integration. Now, if you have any questions for us, make sure you ask them in the Q&A window at the bottom. So you can click on that, enter your question, and I am now enabling people to vote for the questions as well. So you can see what questions other people are putting in. And then once we're done, I'll start grilling Sariam with your questions. See if we can get to the bottom of your questions and see what answers we can get. Sure. Sariam, over to you.
Yeah, thank you. Hi, folks. This is Sai. The people usually call Sairam, but Sai is a short word to call me. And like my topic to today for this webinar is how to integrate your Mendix application with Dialogflow. So in short, Dialogflow is a chatbot application service. It's called natural language processing bot, so which can understand your text, and based on the text, you can give your responses or else system-based responses also. In short, a automatic bot service in your Swiggy app delivery or some other food app delivery, or else in your logistics, wherever you see there are chatbots are there, right? So in that way, you can create your chatbot, or else you can create your assistants like your Google Assistant. The Google is just totally based on the Dialogflow also. So in that way, we can build our own assistant with our Mendix app. So there are no prerequisites for this to achieve. Only thing is you should be a learner. And let me start my screen share. Okay, I think you people are able to see my screen, right? Jan, are you able to see my screen?
Yep, looking good. You can see your browser now. And yeah, we're into presenter mode right now.
Yes, thank you. So this is the why I gave the question how is. We people usually think about how only, right? So that's the reason I want to clarify. In order to integrate any of the chatbot service, there is a direct way of integrating directly with that system only. There are different platforms for third party platforms which will help you to integrate. So without relying upon them, we can directly communicate with that, because ultimately they totally depend upon the REST web services or any other web service. Okay, so here are some examples of different use cases of chatbot and voice assist, like message assistants, external and internal parts, expert lookup, help desk, enterprise QA, financial help desk. In your banking applications also, if you want to, for me it is very common. It became very common in my life. Every time a bank will message me and ask for, are you looking for any pre-approved loan? So these kind of things to increase their business. And whereas in the case of in the case of finance thing, you can look up your credit score kind of thing, just to pass a message like, okay, can you tell me what is my credit score? So there will be a process that will be running around your running back in your screens, and that process will get you the data and will showcase in the web view. And the same way in the external patient engagement, we know there are a lot of docs app kind of thing are evolving, and they're about the drug informations by scanning and etc. Those kind of thing, and even by entering the text, for example, in your Google Assistant straight away. And if you want to integrate the same with your application, Dialogflow will help you, but you need to make the Dialogflow learn. So that Dialogflow doesn't know what you want, right? That only help you to catch the catchy words from your user text, and then it can respond. Okay, so simple, it's very straightforward. How we gonna make an integration? We will send a request from Dialogflow and we'll get a response from them, and we'll process the response in the Mendix and then we can showcase it on the UI. It's and for this we are using web services and then a Java action, a small Java action for the kind of token to create the token. And the total dependency for this is a kind of service account based, because There is no need of person account or SAML or SAML kind of thing. Here we need an OAuth token. How can we generate that OAuth token is one thing, and how can we consume the service that is exposed by Mendix is the other thing. Okay, and before going to these steps, let me showcase you what is a dialog flow is. When you click on dialog flow anywhere here on the Google, you will be shown with lot of stuff. Dialog Flow, it is a company, it is a NLP service by some other person, some Google by Google, and it will gives you help building the chatbot and etc. And what is why dialog flow? Because dialog flow is free and it will give you number of hits for there is no need of paying cost for that, but you need to create your enable your Google platform services account before that, and then you need to subscribe to that by paying 2 rupees kind of thing INR, but I don't know about the US rupees that what they charge, and then you will be given with few free credits, and based on that credits you need to go on. And now the dialog flow is getting involved, so sorry, evolved, my bad, evolved. So earlier it is kind of dialog flow beta version, and now it is gonna EX and SX. So let me showcase you that. ES essential. So Dialogflow Essential is the basic version, and Dialogflow CX is the somewhat more advanced version. So now I am going to integrate your Dialogflow Essential with your Mendix. So when before jumping into the topic, I just want to make you clear with few things. One is intent, request, and response, and training phrases. So these are the four things that you need to know from the Dialogflow end. One thing is you need to go to Dialogflow console. So okay, Dialogflow Cloud, Google Cloud. So after login, if you click on console, you will be navigated to Google Cloud platform here. So where the different services of Google will be available here. So either you can directly log in here, and you can search Dialogflow from the chart from the search box that provided Dialogflow console. So you can see ES and CX. ES is essential and CX is more somewhat greater, like kind of advanced version. So when you click on, this is about the documentation, but when you click on Dialogflow console, sorry. So building an agent. So ES, Google Dialogflow. From there, you can see you will be landing into this page, and when you click on the Google Dialogflow CX, you will be taken to the next page where you can find the console link. Go to Dialogflow CX console. Sorry. Sorry, ES. ES is in beta version, which is a free, but CX is somewhat a bit uh, linked with some monetary transaction. Now you are landing onto the Dialogflow exact platform. Okay. So here you can see you can create your own project here. It automatically created, and I created my own project for the same. I call it as called Mendix Meetup, or else you can create your new agent. Agent is your project here. In the concept of Dialogflow, agent is your project and intent is your process. For example, if I say hi, I need to get a healthy response from the chatbots. Hi there, or else hi, how are you? So these kind of responses we get as a part of intent. Whereas the agent is the one who acts as a bridge between Mendix and the requester and the responser. Okay. So here, when I click on these intents, you will be shown with there are a lot of intents that have been created. There are few only, 3. So let me create a new intent here. Okay, for example, you need to give the intent name. Intent is the common. There are, if you go to the documentation of Dialogflow, you will be get to know a lot more than what I say. You need to learn a lot in Dialogflow. There should be some callbacks are there, and some action parameters and some system parameters is also there. So, but now I'm just going with this some very basic thing. But the more concept for this webinar is to how to integrate the Dialogflow. So that's the reason. For example. How can I say, how are you? If the user says, how are you? Ask the question, how are you? Like, how do you do? Or else. So in this type of phrases, you need to train. So here in the training phrases, you need to give your different training phrases so that the system can understand, okay, it can validate, okay, these kind of training phrases are needed for the user to understand. The system will understand, okay, whenever the user enters these kind of phrases which are similar to this, then it's gonna select this intent and then checks the response. So here these are the different parameters. You can have a look it from the Dialogflow docs, and then here you can add your response. For example, yeah, I'm doing good. What about you? Okay, so this is my response. Whenever the user asks me, how do you do and how are you? Then my response will be this. So in order to check in the live action, they already given a console kind of thing. But one thing you need to keep in mind that whenever you are doing something or you are changing something, you need to save. If you are not saving anything, then what will happen is like total will be gone. So let me try asking the same question, hoping that will be answered by the system. Okay, so my bad. Actually, there are two intents. One is the how are you intent that I just created, and then there is already one more intent created by me. How are you? So that's the reason the created how are you is not given. But the create, I'm gonna remove this intent and then gonna publish it. Okay, when if we hit the how are you now, wait, okay, my bad, I deleted the previous one. Okay, how do you do? How are you? And yeah, I'm doing good. But yeah, I forgot. My bad. But in order to apply your previous changes, in order to remove the deleted one, you need to publish this. So where you can publish this? When you click on this settings icon, you will be navigated to this screen up. Okay, where you can see different things, ml settings, languages, general will give the clear picture of what is the project that you're working on, and time zone, etc., and project name, project id, and then here environments. So the usual, the name itself gives you the type of environment. So now you need to go publish the version, kind of deploy your changes to your available environment. So you need to give a description if you want. Change new, sorry, added new intent. Okay, and when you click on next, new environment, you need to select Mendix meetup. I already created that one, and then simple publish. Now what will happen is like it will be overriding the existing code with the new package that it's going to be. Of course, everyone is already aware of that. Okay, so now it's getting updating. So meanwhile it's get updating, let's go to one more thing. uh, in order to communicate with your communicate your to sorry, my bad, in order to make a channel or a kind of communication channel existence between Mendix and Dialogflow, there should be some person to invoke and to revoke. So for that, we need a service account. So how we can create a service account in Google Cloud? So it's very simple. It is called as IAM. It everywhere in every cloud services platform. You can go to IAM and then you can click on service accounts. Okay. If you click on service account, you will be shown off lot of service accounts. But before that, you need to select your exact project. Okay. So these are the lot of projects that I created, but the project that Dialogflow is using now is, you can go to general and you can check the name of the project, Mendix meetup underscore hyphen OQKL. So now you need to go to that same service accounts and you need to select your first project, OQKL. Okay. Now what will happen is like it will retrieve all the service account for different services that Google offers, and then it will showcase you the different service accounts. I already created a new service account for this, but for now I create the new service account. You can see meetup today, and then if you click on create, you will be accessing, you will be asked what are the different roles that your service account should have. As usual, in the kind of different applications we develop, there will be different roles. For this service role, what are the different services that this service role has to have an access with? So the two different roles that this service has to have an access with is Dialogflow API admin and Dialogflow API client, both the things. Okay. And then if you click on add another role, the other role will be getting added, client. Okay, so now successfully we added two roles to this, and then if you click on continue, and these are something that we usually do in every of the software installation process also. And you can see Mendix meetup today at the rate of Mendix meetup. Okay, I am service account is been created. If you click on this, you will be shown a different screen where you can see the different details of your service account. You can see details, permissions, keys, metrics, logs. Okay. Okay. Let me go back to the previous service account that I created so that you people understand the different things under these tabs. Okay. So you have permissions, keys, metrics, and logs. Okay. Permissions is something that is for which applications we can restrict. Keys, this is the main thing. I'll get back to this at the last. Metrics, how many hits you have done. You can see it's getting loaded. Okay, actually logs, sorry, actually we need to filter the metrics, right? It has to be kind of previous one day. You can see there are some few hits at some 9 p.m. and then 3 p.m. today, request count, etc., etc. So in the same way, logs. So this will help you to analyze number of hits happen, and based on that only you can get into an understanding that okay, I need to go for much more optimization or not, those kind of factors. Okay, now the most important thing, which is your authentication for Dialogflow and your Mendix app. So in order to create an authenticated channel from Mendix to Dialogflow, this key is the most important one. Okay, let me get back to the service account that we created today. Sorry, just now. And if you land onto these keys, you will be shown with the option called add key. If you click on add key, there will be two options. Go with the create new key. Don't go with the existing one also, because we'll forget where we added also. So when you click on create, a new key will be downloaded as a part of JSON file. Okay, what is the data that is there in that JSON file? Is it something kind of rocket science? No, not at all. Those are some different types of data string. For example, the type of the account. Actually, these all together constitutes your web service header part. Okay, so but in our we are creating the token, OAuth token, using this service account, using Java action. The reason is it is very quick when compared your web service. That's the reason we are creating this using Java action. Okay, you can see there are different for what project you are creating this service account for, and OAuth account, sorry, OAuth token, and then private key, private ID, client email, client ID, and then these are the scope, auth URI, token URI, client credit cert URI. These are the few things that are mandatory, which are common for any of the thing. So these three are common for any of the user, any of the project, but this is something that will create dynamically for each project. Okay, so park it aside. Just remember, okay, we created one new key that is needed for the integration with sorry, integration with Mendix. Okay, so now we created our project and we deployed our changes to here. You can see, I think the changes is been deployed. Let me try now. How are you? Yeah, I'm doing good. What about you? Earlier it is showing that good. What about you? But now after deleting the existing one and uploading the new one, it is hitting back with the the most reached one. The reason here is like whenever you are having the similar intents, what will happen? Like the system will get into an ambiguity and it will checks based on the time that intent created. Okay, and then now I think we are good at dialog flow end. We created our intents, we created our projects, and we created the service account with credentials and other stuff. But in order to integrate with that, we need a JavaScript, Java action. Okay, so how we can create your okay, before going to the Java action, how we can communicate our Mendix with Dialogflow? So there should be an authenticated way, like authorized way to get that part done. So for to do that authorization, we are laying upon the OAuth token. So okay, let me draw a simple figure. Okay, sorry, just give me a second. Okay, let me draw you a diagram. Okay, for example, let us assume this is dialog flow. Okay, and this is Mendix, which are two sides of the universe. Okay, so but I need to establish a link between Mendix and Dialogflow. To do this, sorry, my bad. To do this, there should be some authorized way. So that authorized way is your OAuth token. So what will happen once the authorization is confirmed? The service account user, the service account inside the Mendix, sorry, my bad. The service account inside the dialog flow will check whether the credentials coming from the Mendix is right or not. So whatever the things that service account expects from Mendix is the credentials that we already share, that we already created from there. Okay. Now, okay, it will tells to the dialog flow. So that was the credentials came from that is true, and now it will establish a channel. Okay, and then it will start me till now. This one is a kind of dotted line. It may exist or may not exist. Okay, but whenever the session, the kind of This service account use the no, sorry, S. It will start, it will let the Mendix application to consume your Dialogflow intents. Okay, but every time we need to give one token. We need to show, okay, I got the exact token and the authorized token to keep in touch with you, to keep in touch with you. Okay, that is called your bearer token. Okay, as a part of your service, you need to send your bearer token with that. Okay, whenever you send your bearer token, that means it is the exact full-fledged and authenticator request. Okay, so this is more about theoretically, but let's jump into that practical stuff. Okay, yeah, I already created a new project for this, and I already created the new microflows for that, but for the sake of now, I'm going to create new for you. But before going to this, we need some JavaScript, Java jars actually. So kind of libraries, that is Google libraries. So I already copy pasted it in my local, and you can see. Uh, So these are the different jar files that we need to in order to communicate or in order to make an perfect channel with Google and your Mendix. So there are different jars, libraries available for authentication, what to raise the what token and to consume the different services from Java, sorry, from Google. Okay, so these jars have, you need to, of course, you people are already aware of and more luck than me. You need to add all those jars to your user lib here, and when once you build your project, those jars will be available for you to code, to use in your Java action. Okay, now w- okay, let's go back to this and let's check what are the points that we covered till so far. One thing is need to create a project using Dialogflow. We did it. Okay, let me bold it so that we can remember, we don't forget. This is done. Oh, sorry, my bad. Okay. And next, need to create the intents and respect to callbacks for the same. Yes, this is done. Creation of API key, Control B. And now creation of auth token. I think this is something that is a common between both Mendix and the Dialogflow end. Okay, now when you come to the Mendix end, these are the 5 points that we need to finish in order to complete our request to create a chatbot. So need to create a project at Mendixon. Okay, that is very known to everyone. This is the project that I created from Mendix. And then need to create a descriptive domain model in sync with the Dialogflow responses. Okay, and in order to send your text to the Dialogflow, there should be some different JSON structure that we need to follow. So that we need to create, and for that we need to create our domain model. Here is our domain model. I just added a wrapper. Okay, I just added this wrapper to hold all your request items that are needed to send it for the dialog flow. And in that wrapper, we have the first element of our uh, dialog flow request, where which holds all the text. The text is something where whatever the user enters, the text will be into it, and you need to send the language code for sure. If you didn't send the language code, the Dialogflow doesn't understand that what type of language you are expecting as a return or as a request, what type of language you are also sending, that is also not known to Dialogflow. So these two parameters are very important, and there are a lot more parameters that you can use, but I find these two parameters are more important to me, and that's the reason I just added it and I created this domain model for the request part. Okay, now for the response part, how the response will be. So now these are the different response part that we got from what we will get from Mendix. Sorry, bad, wrong. Dialogflow. You can see query result, parameters, fulfillment messages. I can pass you the text also. Sorry, JSON structure. You can go and you can, if you go to the different APIs available for dialog flow and responses, you can get that one. Or else we can see the expected we can see the expected response from dialog flow here itself. Whenever you enter your code, how are you, you will be shown with this, right? Yeah, I am doing good. What about you? Now when you click on diagnostic info, you will be shown the response, raw API response. So our response from dialog flow will be in this JSON format. Then we can directly copy paste it, copy this and create a JSON structure, and then that everything, right? And if you want to know what type of request you want to give to Dialogflow, it is very simple. Copy CURL. Okay. Now take a new page, copy and paste it, and you can see. I think uh, this is something. This is your request API. Okay, and then there you need to pass few things. These are different parameters. And different type of things, time zone, and then this is like, that's what I already explained. This is your wrapper, and then inside your wrapper you will have a text, and then in text we have your text word. What is the word that you want to fill? And language code is mandatory, en hyphen us or whatever it may be. And then now you can select, you can send your a time zone if you want to perform sentiment analysis. That is one more concept in NLP, natural language processing. Sentiment analysis is totally a different concept, which will gives you the exact weightage of your word, whether it's a bad word or good word. It's totally used in your movie reviews and restaurant reviews even. Okay, so I think now you people have an understanding of how to create your response and how to create your request. Okay, now let's go back to this and let's create a new Java action. So one thing that you need to keep it in mind, you need to add all the OAuth libraries that are needed from Google, because it is comes as a package. So that's I just unzipped it and then copy pasted into the jars of our project, the user lib of our project. Now let me create this Java action. Okay, Java action underscore create OAuth token. Okay. So in order to create your OAuth token, what are the different parameters you need to get? But one thing that is yes for sure is the return element will be a string. That is damn sure. And where we need the okay just remember, we already created our key and we already have it in our local. So why how to use that key? Okay, so is that something where we need to store it anywhere in some other platform or some other system or kind of thing? No need of that. We can store the key in our app itself. Go to your project directory. We have a resource folder where you can access files in that. What I did is I created a folder called df dialog flow, and inside that I am adding this key that I already created from the dialog flow console. You can call it like that, or as cloud platform, Google Cloud Platform. And from there, what we are going to do is we're going to create this Java action. Okay, so this type of Java action. Now, what are the different parameters that we need? We need path. Path is something from where we need to fetch your file. So the first slash will be automatically appended, whatever the path that is going to choose, that is from your resource folder. And then your title, project title. Okay, project title is nothing but your project that you created on the Dialogflow, and this one. Okay. Okay, just a second. You can see your project ID as this one. So you need to send it as a part of parameter, because if you create lot of dialog flow like agents, so what is your agent to that we need to proceed with? That's the reason that the dialog flow expects the project actually. And then session ID, just to create a new session. And then language code is must. Okay. So after creating all this, you need to do some write some Java code in this. Okay, let me run this project, and if we run the project only, then only the .java file will be created in the background, and it will add it to your project folder, right? Okay, it's getting loaded. Meanwhile, I think I can open that Java action. Open file. I am using VS Code because I am very much comfortable with the VS Code itself. Okay, and now this is the Java action that we created to create your token, OAuth token. I'm just making it comment out. Okay, now what are the different jars we need is we need OAuth token like different transporters, and we need to retrieve the file. I mean, fetch the file from a separate folder. So these are the different Java libraries that we want. So I'm going to just copy paste it to the JavaScript to create OAuth token and add it as a import libraries here. Okay, now the exact path comes here now. Okay, so you can see first we need to create our return variable. Okay, let me create a new return variable here. Okay, so string token equal to empty. Okay, so now this will be our return part. Read your return. Okay, let's not get back to this. Now start try catch block, because if there is any error that can be catched here. Catch of E exception, and then return E dot stack trace off. Okay, now it will returns the stack trace, means like it's gonna give the uh, effects. Sorry, kind of what is the error causing to not to go through this Java action. Okay, so now we set it like we already made the platform to write our Java action. Now what we need to do first, we need to fetch the file that we created, that we added in our project folder. How we can do that? Simple, create a file object with this kind of thing. Okay, you can see it here in the try block. I am creating that file object with these are the get configuration dot get source path. This will gives you the path till source, and after that we need to use a file separator, that means slash, and then path. The path we got from here, path. Okay, and then we need to convert it into a input stream. Okay, that input stream will help you to create the token actually. Okay, so you can see that I am converting that into creates input stream, and later we need to create a transport package and a default instance. These transport package and default instance will help you to create a channel between Mendix and Dialogflow. Okay, and later you will be this the exact part now comes here. Okay, so this part of code is very important for us. Okay, here you need to mention the path. Let's go very carefully to here. Okay, you can see Google credential is your library. We already added here Google credential. Sorry, my bad. Okay, Google credential. You can see this one, Google credential, right? So that using that library, we are creating our OAuth token from stream. So which stream I need to use? So that's the reason we created a input stream here using creds. So from that stream to which scope, so which platform that I need to get. So created scope for this, and then for which platform, then for this platform I am creating a scope, and for that scope I am creating scope means to what type of authorization that I need to get. Okay, so now I am creating the Google Cloud credentials, but it will create the existing one. Now what I need to do is credential.refresh. Okay, refresh token will create your new refresh token. Okay, new refresh token, and then return. Wait a second, I think we need to assign it to some value, or else credential dot get access token, or else you can do one thing with either you can directly make token equal to credential dot get access token off. So it will give you the access token. Now you can directly send the token as a part of return variable. Now one thing is missing here, exception E, the type that we are getting it. So the Java action that is needed to create your OAuth token is ready. But how we can test this? Test this simply call this Java action on your page anywhere. Okay, I'm just gonna call this Java action here. I'm calling a button, and then on click of this, I'm gonna call a microflow. You need to call a microflow only because only microflow can invoke a Java action. Mhm. Okay, ACT underscore get OAuth token. Now what will happen is like I'm gonna call the same microflow, sorry, JavaScript Java action here, create OAuth token, and then I need to pass all these parameters. From where I need to fetch my file. That file is stored in the projects df folder resource df slash the first element. I'm going to pick up the first element in it. So that for that reason df slash. Okay, and then the project title. Project title is nothing but the project ID. Control C. Okay, and then some session ID. You can give your current session slash session ID. That won't be a big problem. And next language code en hyphen us. Now all set. We just need to run it again. Okay. Oh, my bad. Let's Perfect. Now it's running. Let's see what it will do. Okay, let me open this in a window. Okay, I added this button. So, okay, sorry, I forgot to drop that. Add breakpoint. When you open this, let me click on button and you can see when you step over in the variables part. So this is successfully executed. That's the reason there is no any errors happen. But this is not the right way. You need to add one more path here. Okay, and then you need to choose like set error handling, custom with rollback, and then you need to choose the path for that. So this is the right way for set as error handler. This is the right way for the implementation. If this Java action has been broke, like kind of not executed, then what is your thing? Now with the service account that we created, this is your access token. So this access token will play a key role in communicating with your dialog flow. Okay, and then next I need to go to debug there and then continue. All set. We created our OAuth token. We have the OAuth token in our hand. So now the successful channel between Mendix and Google platform is created. Now you need to create. You need to call a web service. So I already shown you. I think like we already opened that CURL, right? Curl, for example. Okay, I think here or there. No, here itself. Nope. Yeah, how are you? So when you try, you are getting this copies URL. If you want to check whether like that is coming correctly or not. So this will be your URI to hit. Okay. And then the request should be in the form of like this. But here the mandatory is query input, text, the text value, and the language code. Okay, and the language code. Okay, now based on that, we already had a domain model created with us. Okay, so now what we can do, we can create a message definition and then let me do one thing. Add other message definition. I'm using all the things that I have. REQ for dialog flow. Now click on add, select entity, root, expand all, and you need to select check all. Now the main things already checked in. Okay, just give me a sec. Now click on OK. Either you can use generate mapping directly here. We need an export mapping. We need to export it as a kind of string. Okay, so now export mapping. Now I think that export mapping already created root underscore export. Yes, root underscore export. Okay, you can see it automatically gets mapped. Now we need to create this structure first. So for that, what I did is, let's get back to that ICD get OAuth token. Now let's create a new microflow to hit our dialog flow service. So microflow ivk underscore hit get response from dialog flow. Okay. Now the first step will be I'm gonna calling the same microflow that we create that we used to hit to get our WAT token. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm changing the return type to string. Return value name. You can change your name there, and then empty if it failed, or else you can add your own type of custom thing. Now we got our access token or OAuth token. Now we need to build our structure. For that, I need to create a root object, and then three different objects that we need to create. One is root, query input, and then text. Create object, query input. You need to associate. If we didn't associate with them, then the structure won't be getting as expected. Okay, and then again the text. Yes, create object, text, text. Yes, the text, and then you need to give this is for sure en-us because I am using English US, and then you need to associate the same with Mendix input query input. Now you need to call your service. You need to drag an activity and change that to call REST web service and edit. Okay, before that we need to add it as a post, and then the location will be like this from your C URL. Sorry. Yes. Till this. Okay, no issues. I already copied it somewhere else. Okay. So this is your URI to hit. You can get the same URI from Google itself. Get intent. The URI name is get intent. When you check on with the get intent, definitely you will be able to find this. Okay. So the main thing over here is everything is common. One thing is the project ID that you need to add, and then you need to add two headers for this. One is authorization. Authorization is a bearer token here. Value bearer space plus dollar token worth token now, and then content type. Okay, content hyphen type. Sorry, my bad, because we are expecting a JSON, right? JSON or application. Okay, now we are good to go with headers, and we created this. Sorry, we need to use post, and if you click on request, it should be kind of export mapping the entire request. You need to select export mapping, root export, and if you want to store it as a parameter, the parameter that we need to send for the exporting thing. Okay, and then later if you go to the response, just store in a string for now. Just check whether the response is coming or not in order to check whether the response is coming or not. Store in a variable, yes, and click on OK. And then set error handling, custom with rollback. End event and choose this path as your error handler. Now all set. If it is now I'm gonna do what I'm gonna rehook this one, selecting this, and then I'm gonna hook it with the response microflow. Let me check. Let us check together. Now I'm opening the same. Okay, we did some changes, right? So that's the reason it is starting from the beginning. Okay.
Hey, Sairam, there's a
Hmm? Yeah,
question
Jan.
here from Leonard. He says, should the
Mhm.
content type not be the other way around? Shouldn't it be application/JSON instead of JSON/application?
Oh, yes. Thanks. Thanks for remembering me.
Hey, keen eye, Leonard.
Yeah. So this says that our listeners are very active. Okay. Application/JSON. Thank you. Okay. Okay. So, okay. When you click on this button, okay, now we successfully created a auth token, and then we are creating this structure. Okay. And then I am directly calling this REST post. Okay, we got failed. Reason. Input. My bad. I forgot to give the input text here. Without input text, it won't take the thing actually. So let us add that text. How are you? Click on OK. Okay, and then okay, and then when you click on button, let's see we are getting that or not. Yep, we got a good response from that. And what is that response? Oh, it's a JSON. You can see the text is, oh, yeah, I'm doing good. What about you? And you can get it as a part of fulfillment text also. So for that, I just created a new JSON. I created a JSON structure. I copied that and added it as a common JSON structure, and then I created a import mapping response from DN. And I after that, I am very lazy. I thought of not to create my entity elements on my own, and I just clicked on map automatically. The same thing got the domain model got created here in this section of domain model. Okay. Okay, and now how can we create a chartbot? Like I created very basic chartbot with this. I hope with this we are very clear on how we can consume a service from Dialogflow and this one. So I just created a normal entity conversational bot kind of thing. I created some chat entity here where I'm creating a request and response. And then on the home page, sorry, my bad. Okay, Control G, HOM, home web. So what I created is I'm creating a chart entity on the DS Microflow for now, for a sake of convenience. And then later, either this on clicking of this button or else on clicking of enter in this text box, I'm going to call this microflow, same microflow that we created. And then the response I'm going to map with the response attribute that we already created. Okay, so let's see how we can choose that. So this is our chatbot. When you click on this, you will be shown this. Okay, how are you? So I clicked on enter. Yeah, I'm doing good. How about you? Let me ask one more question. This is kind of something selfish for me. Who created you? I am created by Sariam Tanniru. So in this way, whatever the intents that you create in the dialog flow, we're gonna consume. We can create our own phrases, and we can create our own text, and we can create our own chatbot in Mendix in that fly. Um, let's get back to our checklist whether we completed all the things or not. Yes, we created OAuth token, completed, and need to create a project completed. Sorry, completed, and microflow need to consume. All the things are completed. One thing that I missed. Thank you. And Jan, that's it from my end.
Excellent. Yeah, thank you so much, Sariam. I think that was really a good learning experience. Now, if you're watching this and you have any questions for us, please post them in the Q&A window, and we'll get to them. So far, I've not seen anything come in, so I guess everyone now knows everything about Dialog and integrating with Mendix. So, Sariam, tell me a little bit about how you got into this with Mendix and Dialog Flow. What was your initial reason for trying this out?
Huh, so we had a new requirement from our client at that time. So where we need to make our application kind of more AI oriented. So whenever the user enters, like let me explain through a business use case. For example, number of users using Mendix Community from past 10 years. When the user enters this free text, we need to analyze the key parameters from that, and then we need to create a report, and we need to showcase the user in a pop-up. So this is something kind of text analysis. So in that sense, because all their applications already created in Mendix, and we know I don't need to justify why we need to use Mendix, because that is well known to the whole world. And then we need to get into a platform where we can use it for free first, and then we need to do some trial versions on that. And of course, this is also very that Google is a great platform that will help us to understand. And of course, as our audience says, there is IBM Watson, which we have already connected in our Mendix App Store for the IBM Watson. But still, we need to get some keys and identities by creating all those. No, by buying all those. My bad. We can use it for our production environment also without creating anything. If we have very less hits, for example, if your user base is only 15, if you're creating an application for your very high level set of people, so then you don't need to go for a license.
And
That made me to create this.
What was the most difficult part in doing this? What is the thing that you spent the most time on?
The most time on is like I didn't add that credential.refresh token. It took me 2 days here. I almost cracked everything. I read almost about 20 to 30 hours spent on this, and read lot of blogs and lot of documents. But finally, what I missed is I didn't add this statement. I just waited for this statement about 12 hours, and later I fixed it. And this is one is the most complicated thing. And what I feel is like the documents from Google itself are not that self-learning oriented. We need to go through the medium concepts and then some Stack Overflow and then lot of other blogs that are available to get more deep dive into this, because on the glare on the gaze we don't know, we can't understand that we need to use this folder and we need to create a file input stream to get in to create an instance for to create a token. So I feel that is the most uh, tough situation for me.
And now that you've achieved this, are there any other use cases that you can think of where you can use this combination or use this knowledge?
Yes, obviously, because once we are done with that OAuth token, we can consume all the services from Google. We are object character recognition is there, and the we nowadays the shopping is the e-commerce is the biggest business. So we are in a thought of creating some commerce apps based on the user intelligence actually. So based on the queries user enters, we're gonna showcase it and we're gonna catch it, and then we're gonna build a custom search for them, so frequent searches. So there is one thing, and one more thing is like you can use the Google TensorFlow integrating with Mendix, and then you can create a heat map of your own body, posture, gesture recognition. There's a lot of stuff. You can create your own review system also.
Perfect. Do you already have a next project to work on?
Actually, we have in mind, but it's totally this is something I'm working for someone, right? So I have many ideas, but it's totally depend upon that. How about privacy when sending all the questions to Google?
Perfect.
This is totally like stored in your own database, and then the database has access to your only service account, not the other Google also. But from the backend, we can't assure you, because all our own data is also on Google only, even your personal data.
Right, right. Let's see. So we do have a couple of questions coming in.
Mm-hmm.
So, we talked a little bit about the use cases. I think a
Mm-hmm.
question from Yella was, what are the use cases when you have used this technique? I don't know if you want to elaborate on that or
Uh, the thing is like we used it for some pharma client. I already explained like we need to create reports on the fly based on the user free text. So in that situation, in order to identify the keywords in that, we use this dialog flow, because we the in order to build like earlier the first step that we tried is why can't we implement the same using Mendix. We implemented that in Mendix even, but that NLP, the natural language processing, and in order to create a large set of variables and large set of structured data, we need a lot of time. So we already had a build on engine called Dialogflow, so that's the reason we consumed it. So that is one thing. And honestly, I didn't use it anywhere else now other than
right,
that.
good.
And
Yeah. Yeah, so you mentioned IBM Watson. What is the main difference between the two, if you had to compare between
there will be a limitation for IBM Watson. We need to pay, and then I it's very straightforward. Google is having the large user base and large data when compared to IBM. So whenever you are going for the IBM Watson for sentiment analysis, that kind of thing, so IBM Watson may not give you the perfect answer, because the data from whole world is having in Google only, right? That is the major thing that you need
yeah,
to
I was
understand.
about to say, like, I'm pretty sure IBM has a big data set, but you're saying Google has more.
Is obviously right, because even if your reviews are also going into the Google, when you are went to a restaurant, had a dinner, Google literally pops out and, hey, how's the lunch there?
Yeah, that could be a little scary sometimes. Um, It's like when you're thinking
Someone
about
following you.
something and you get an email that says, hey, do you want to buy this? Or you see an ad and you're like, stop reading my mind, please. So jumping on that, Yella's actually asking, what about the privacy when you're using things related to Google, right? Everything you ask to Google is being stored and it's being used.
Yeah. Okay. So for that, my answer for that is like we have a privacy policy agreed upon when you are creating your Google platform account. So whatever the data that we are going to insert into the Google Cloud, that will be shown to you and your backend team only. Google is not doesn't have any other authority to go to that. But in the case of analytics, if you are opt like it will ask, so can we use your data for our analytic purpose? If you say yes, they're gonna use it. If you say no, they don't gonna use it.
Okay.
There are some privacy conditions and policy terms for that.
Yeah, for sure. Privacy is definitely a main question point in situations like this. Yeah.
Yes. To get rid of some malware functions and hacking, phishing attacks.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I've seen some crazy videos on that. Another question here by Yella. Is there a difference in privacy between CS and ENFX?
Honestly, I too don't know this. I need to do some research because the CS Essential platform and CX platform. CX is just released about 3 months before only. So I didn't spend much amount of time on that, but ES is totally free, where CX is a totally a licensed version. So if you are investing something on some tool, definitely it's always more secure.
Okay, yeah. So you don't have a lot of experience with the other tools just yet. That's
Yes.
perfect. Well, are there any other questions from the audience? Because already we're having a really good discussion. We're having some really good back and forth. I'd love to know if you have any more pressing questions for Sariam, or Sai. Sorry,
Thank you.
I consider you a friend now.
Yeah, you can call
I
me
can say
friend.
Sai. Um,
No
so
issues.
yeah, let us know if you want to know anything else about this and about this use case. In the meantime, we are recording this and we'll be posting the recording soon afterwards, so you can share this and look at it at your own time to research it further. Sairam, thank you so much for presenting and diving into this with us. And I think it's been really helpful and really insightful. And I hope when you're watching this, you've gotten the answers to some of your questions you may have had. And if not, join us on the Mendix forum and on the community Slack to continue the conversation. So for now, thank you much for attending. Thank you, Sai. And
Thank
see
you,
you
Jan.
all.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the opportunity, actually.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to the next session. So thank you all
Like
for joining and see you next time.
Yeah, sure, Jan. Thank you.